This might seem to be the easiest thing in the world, but it hasn't always been the case. More than 50 years ago, Singaporeans had to undergo water rationing when we had a period of prolonged dry spell. Since then, Singapore has worked hard to ensure our taps don't run dry. In fact, we have been so successful that in 2017, each Singaporean used 143 litres of water per day. So just how did Singapore get here? How do we ensure that we always have running water?
We use about 430 million gallons of water daily. That is enough to fill 782 Olympic-sized swimming pools. 45% of that usage is by the domestic sector, while the remaining is by the industrial sector. By 2060, Singapore's water use is expected to double from the current 430 million gallons a day. To meet this demand, Singapore has 4 national taps: local catchment, new water, desalinated water, imported water. The 1962 water agreement with Malaysia allows us to draw up to 250 million gallons per day of water from the Johor River. This agreement will expire in 2061.
We don't have the luxury of big countries where they have big catchments. The only catchment we have is our country itself.
Rainwater that falls on 2/3 of Singapore's land is channeled to our 17 reservoirs via a network of rivers, canals and drains. The rainwater collected is sent to PUB's 8 water treatment plants.
The water treatment process is extremely rigorous, and it functions on what we call a multi-barrier approach. So there's not just one single black box that cleans the water and pushes it into the system, but actually a series of somewhat redundant barriers that ensure that the water quality is consistent and safe at all times.
The water is chemically treated, filtered and disinfected to make it safe for drinking. The treated water is then stored in a clear water tank before it is pumped into a service reservoir. From there, it will be channeled to consumers. Separately, used water discharged from homes and buildings is collected via a network of underground sewers that leads to the 4 water reclamation plants. Here, the used water is treated according to international standards. A proportion is channeled out back to sea, while the remaining is sent to the new water plants for further purification into new water. The new water plants treat the used water to ultra-clean, high-grade reclaimed water. There are 5 new water plants capable of supplying up to 40% of Singapore's current water needs. By 2060, new water is expected to meet up to 55% of Singapore's water demand. Currently, treated new water is mainly used for industrial and aircon cooling purposes at wafer fabrication plants, industrial estates, and commercial buildings. During dry periods, new water can be added to our reservoirs to supplement our water supply. 30% of our water supply comes from desalination. There are currently 3 desalination plants in Singapore. The latest is the Tuas desalination plant, which opened in June 2018. It is able to produce 30 million gallons a day, or enough for 200,000 households daily. For now, however, this process is energy intensive. The Tuas desalination plant will have 7,000 square meters of solar panels on its roof. It generates 1.4 million kilowatt hours of energy a year. That is enough to power 300 4-room flats for a year, but it is only enough to power the plant's administrative building, or less than 1% of the total facilities needs.
Based on our master plan, if I will project into the future, by 2060, 55% of our future water demand will come from new water, and 30% will come from desalinated water. If I were complacent or satisfied with today's technology, so what is the implication? The implication is that both processes are energy intensive, I will be consuming 4 times more energy compared to today. So the challenge for us is looking for solutions, technology, best practices, whatever it is, to deliver that water demand at today's energy number.
As we have learned, it takes a lot of energy, money and land to keep our taps running. Although we have diversified and increased our water supply capabilities, we should still be prudent about how we use our water.